They called her Doc, but never with respect, not at first. In the brutal, salt-stung training grounds where Navy SEALs were forged, she was the anomaly, the quiet combat medic assigned to a sniper unit that didn't believe she belonged. She was smaller, quieter, and far less interested in boasting than the others. While they bragged about confirmed kills and impossible shots, she studied anatomy charts and wind patterns with the same intensity. To them, she was just a medic, someone who patched wounds after the real work was done. To her, every life mattered, whether it needed saving from a bullet or preventing one from ever landing. Her name was Lieutenant Aria Malik, and she had seen more death than most of them combined. Before joining the SEALs, she'd worked in war-torn regions where the line between life and death was thinner than a thread. She knew the human body not just as something to heal, but as something fragile, predictable, and heartbreakingly easy to break. And that knowledge would one day change everything. The mission was supposed to be straightforward: extract a group of civilians trapped behind hostile lines in a mountainous region crawling with insurgents. But nothing ever went according to plan. The extraction point was compromised before they even landed. Gunfire erupted from 3 directions, pinning the SEAL team down in a narrow valley with no immediate cover. Communication lines were jammed, evac was delayed, and the enemy had the high ground. Chaos followed. Within minutes, 2 operators were down, 1 critically wounded. Aria moved instinctively, dragging the injured behind a shattered rock formation, her hands steady even as bullets chipped the stone around her. She worked fast, sealing wounds, stopping blood loss, whispering calm into panicked breaths. But she knew something the others didn't want to admit: they weren't going to survive this firefight by defense alone. That's when her eyes shifted to the M107 sniper rifle lying beside a fallen operator. It was a beast of a weapon, heavy, powerful, designed for long-range destruction, not something a medic was expected to wield. One of the SEALs barked at her to stay focused on the wounded, but Aria had already made her decision. "I am," she replied quietly. Positioning herself just behind cover, she adjusted the bipod, her movements precise, almost surgical. She slowed her breathing, not to steady her aim, but the way she had done countless times before, making a life-or-death incision. Her scope found the ridge above. One shot cracked through the valley. Silence followed for half a second. Then another shot, and another. Each bullet found its mark with terrifying precision, but she wasn't just firing randomly, she was targeting threats strategically. She understood where a shot would incapacitate instantly, where it would disarm, where it would create fear instead of chaos. Within minutes, the incoming fire began to falter. The enemy was losing its advantage. The SEAL stared in disbelief. "Who the hell trained you?" one muttered. Aria didn't answer. She was already calculating the next move. Between shots, she crawled back to the wounded, stabilizing them, administering morphine, checking vitals, then back to the rifle. Back and forth, life and death in constant balance. She became something else entirely in that moment. Not just a medic, not just a sniper, a guardian. By the time reinforcements finally broke through the ridge, the valley had fallen eerily quiet. 30 enemy combatants had been neutralized or driven off. Every member of the SEAL team was still alive. 30 lives saved, not by chance, but by the hands of someone they had underestimated. As the dust settled, one of the senior operators approached her, his voice stripped of its earlier doubt. "You didn't just save us, you controlled the entire battlefield." Aria looked down at her hands, one still stained with blood, the other resting near the rifle. "I just did what was needed," she replied. But from that day forward, no one ever called her just a medic again. They called her something else, the one who could take a life to save 30. And in the quiet circles where legends are passed between warriors, her story became something more than respect. It became truth.